So that's why it's economically interesting. Now let's get to a definition of fan engagement. Mark Bradley has done some fantastic work around this. In 2018, he published a blog, The Guide to Fan Engagement Leadership. And I've taken this from there. So all the credits to Mark Bradley. But he said fan engagement is composed of 4 building blocks. And it's identity and meaning, it's dialogue, it's execution and experience, and it's matchday people. And if we dive more into that, I see that this slide is double, we can actually start to give you some examples. Identity and meaning. Here's an example of Vitesse. It's again a Dutch example. Vitesse is a club in Arnhem, in the east of the Netherlands. And Arnhem was a very important Second World War to Second World War battle has been fought there. It's the battle around Arnhem. And what they do is every year in September they acknowledge this warfare that happened there. So what they do is that they invite veterans that fought during that war and who are still around the city of Arnhem. They invite those veterans for free as a thank you for saving our city and making us possible to be alive today. And that's such a strong message. It really connects the club with the local culture, but it also shows the identity that they have. They really want to express their commitment to the city's history. I think it's a very powerful thing to do because as a football club, you're not by yourself, but you're part of this wider community, this wider story that your city has. And connecting to the wider story makes it more natural to also support that team because it stands for your local identity. Another example, this is a video. If I play it, I'm not sure if it will actually, if you will have any audio, so I will skip that for now. But this is another example of identity and meaning. Feyenoord, the football club from Rotterdam, they have every year they have the game against ADO Den Haag, which is a football club close there. And what happens here is that there's a section of Feyenoord fans on the first ring, and there's the away section right above it on the second ring. Every game they have, or every game against ADO, every year they have this section under the away section is filled with children from the local children's hospital. So the Emma Children's Hospital. They invite children as a corporate social responsibility project to come watch the game for children to forget that they're sick and to actually enjoy something. ADO fans picked this up and they knew that these kids would be sitting under them. So at one point, they started with the teddy bear tossing campaign. And somewhere on a set minute in the game, they start counting down. They start going from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and all of a sudden they all start tossing teddy bears down to the children's section. So all of a sudden it rains teddy bears, and it just happens during the game. Players stop. They acknowledge also what's going on, and this is such a nice moment to show as well. Fans want to do something for other fans, even if it's from another club. And especially fans, most of the times, they have kids, they have nephews, they have cousins. They all want to support children that are in a difficult situation. And this is exactly what ADO fans do with these Feyenoord children. Again, a very strong message, and this happens every year, and it's a fascinating story because Feyenoord could say, hey, you're not allowed to take any teddy bears inside the stadium because there might be a flare in it or drugs, whatever. Feyenoord says, you know what, it's fine. This is for the greater good. This is for something else, something bigger. So they acknowledge it, of course, with some security measures, but the fact that they allow this very unusual thing to happen also shows the identity that Feyenoord tries to express. Another example, a bit closer from home. This is something I was connected to myself. It's the second building block. It's dialogue. So what you see here is that uh, we saw this photo on the left, and it was from Bob Moore, and we didn't know who he was, but he took a photo of the stadium of AZ, and he said, "Flying into Schiphol this morning, which is the Amsterdam airport, game day SNV, samen naar victorie. It means together to victory." Communications guy showed it to me and said, "Hey, boss, look, this is quite great." I said, "You know what? That's great. Reply to him and ask if I can see him during the game." Um, oh, sorry, went with the presentation the wrong end. So we did. We sent him a direct message. "Hey, Bob, where are you sitting? We'll come find you." And we did. And I went to him and I asked, "Hey, Bob, what's your story? Why are you here? Did you come here to visit Amsterdam, which most people do, and then come to see AZ because Ajax was not playing? What is it?" He said, "Excuse me, I come here quite often." "Okay, interesting. Why is that?" And he started to explain. His club, his original club, Aston Villa, was became champion in 1881. So did AZ. 1881, 1881, they became champion of the Dutch league. And so ever since, he always kept following AZ because it was sort of the outliers that became national champion. And um, from that on, he always kept following AZ, and apparently he traveled a lot to the games. And I said, "Wow, that's great. Can I pay back your ticket or something? Let me do something." He said, "Pay back my ticket. I have a season card." So the story now exposed itself. This guy was flying every game in the season from Birmingham to uh, Amsterdam to Alkmaar to watch our games. A fascinating story. We apparently AZ had a season ticket holder outside of the Netherlands. Never expected that. So we connected this together. I thought, hey, wait a minute, Aston Villa, AZ Alkmaar, that's interesting. We have a player who played in Aston Villa, at Aston Villa, Ron Vlaar. So I got him. I connected them together, and we exchanged some. They exchanged some contacts, a shirt, a scarf. It was fantastic, and in fact, I put him at the end of that match. I had to do some things, but Bob was still around. So I said, "You know what? I have a small little extra surprise for you." And I brought him to this lounge where ex-players hang out. And always the team of 8081, they always hang out in this corner of that lounge. So I got Bob and introduced him to them. And I left him there for 10 minutes. I had to do something. I came back and they were very nicely, they were having a chat. And it was very interesting. They were laughing around all together. And Bob also had to go because he had to fly back. So we walk out of that lounge into the hallway, and all of a sudden I see tears dripping down his cheeks. And he said, "Boss, this is amazing. This is the best day of my life." And just the fact that I could help an old elderly man having such an experience, all coming from dialogue online. So the whole point here is there's such a nice story always behind all those dialogues that you can find online. This was a fan engagement example where we did not wanted to do this for any PR, but it got picked up and it got great PR just because we did something kind to him. And this was a bit of an example of what you could do, what could come from great dialogue. Third building block is execution and experience. There's of course the game. A football game is not just 90 minutes and then you all go home. There's so much more around it, and most often families and children, they want to have more. They want to arrive early to the game. They want to have stuff to do. They want to stay after the game for a bit. So there's your opportunity to expand the experience, because if fans are enjoying themselves, they will come back. And that's the game we live in. We don't live in a football world, we live in an entertainment world. And if we create that entertainment, if we supply that entertainment other than the 90 minutes, they are more likely to come back. And this is not a marketing thought, this is proven science. You can see that people from games where there's a lot of activities around the football game, they come back more often than people that have visited the game where nothing was organized. So this is actual science. This is correct. Um, Something else, execution and experience. Another game. I will keep this short, but we had a game where in the winter semi-final for the Dutch league, and it was minus 10 degrees in reality, and the field temperature was minus 18. It might be for some of you guys normal temperatures, but for us, the Dutch, this was freezing. We could have felt like snow puppets. So what we did is we contacted the local sponsors and said, hey, can we do something to keep these fans warm? And immediately they jumped into action and they said, you know what, let's do that. Lavazza jumped on and said, okay, you know what, all coffee is for free. We'll supply you with extra coffee. Also, we supply you with extra hot chocomilk. So we all of a sudden we were all able to offer the fans something extra and to keep themselves warm, because we needed that support. Again, semi-final of the Dutch league. So I remember the hour before this game, winter silence around the stadium, and it was drop that silence. There was a nice winter sun, but it was freezing cold. And all of a sudden, from the distance, you could see from every angle, you could see fans slowly starting to approach the stadium with bags full of blankets and extra clothes and everything. Because we posted this image earlier online, which says at the first part, dress up warmly, and the second is score your free drink of choice. Third one is cheer us at to the cup final. We asked the fans, hey, we will help you, but support us. This is how we will support you in supporting us. And they acknowledged that. They came. And of course, it was not a sold out stadium, but because most of the fans, they did stay home. But I think we were around 80-90% capacity. And all these fans just showed up with blankets and extra packed with their gear on. It was such a nice experience to see. And the fans that showed up, again, from data research, we saw so many season ticket holders and so many people that visited that game that in the end converted to a season ticket, because they experienced something extra unique, the freezing match, we call it. Another execution and experience, asking fans to compose the playlist for halftime. Very small thing, but we just asked online, hey, which songs would you like to hear during halftime? Let fans compose a playlist and play that during halftime. Very small interaction thing, but it also it amplifies their experience. In the end, it's their game, not yours. Here's another example. Aarhus, the club you might now know as the club in Denmark that had these big screens next to the football pitch during their Corona games. I visited them a few months before the Corona outbreak, and they had a massive fan experience going on. On the left photo, you see the mascot grilling some sort of like a stick, a breadstick, over a fire. They had a lot of those pits, and apparently it's a Danish thing to do. Bread rolls, never heard of it, but it's fantastic, and it was very popular. A lot of fans went there. That was on the family zone. On the right, you see the fanatic zone. Fanatics don't want all this stuff. They just want proper beer. They want maybe a hot dog, and they want some nice music. So that's exactly what they did. They built a tent. They had an extra beer stand there. They had some hot dogs, and they had a DJ playing music. So that's what they want. And the most important thing here is acknowledge there are different needs for the fan experience. One group might want this, other groups might want that. This is, I think, a very good example of understanding that you have more than one fan group inside your fan base. Back to the family zone. They did a lot of stuff. So players that were not playing anyways, because either they were not selected for that game or they were injured, they were handing out autographs before the game in the family fan zone. Local sponsor jumped in by saying, hey, you know what? We can make gingerbread cookies to hand out for free to the fans. Again, something extra. All of this amplifies to fans having a good time, and fans who have a good time want to come back. This is a video. It doesn't have audio, but it's fine. At least you can see a bit. you could see around um, what was going on. So a lot of mascots. There were some games here. There were tables for dads and moms to sit, to just to relax and enjoy themselves. Because if the children are busy, family needs to sit somewhere as well. And they just sit there and have a coffee or have a beer, and they relax. So they took care of the entire family. The match day people, very important as well. How nice is your staff to the fans? Are they being grumpy, like the example that I said, grumpy Ajax stadium employees, or are you actually being greeted with a smile? Hey, can I help you? Where do you want to go? Um, and this is something the NFL has done in London. This is again an example of Mark Bradley. What they did is that they had an sort of an acknowledgement game. So all of the staff was well trained, um, and mystery shoppers walked around. And when they saw that staff was doing something extraordinary, so actively approaching fans, hey, are you looking for something? Or someone with a wheelchair walking up to them, hey, I can help you. They got this coupon, and with 5 coupons, they could redeem those after their shift inside the stadium for unique prizes, signed helmets, or a jersey, or etc. So it stimulated the staff to do something extra, which is also very important for the fan experience.